This message has no affiliation with the Department of War. Good evening, everyone. Stay with us today as we welcome in our first guest, talk about the mental health epidemic, and dive into social issues. This is the Martin Memo. The Martin Memo. All right, so I guess let's just go ahead and dive into it. So, basically, I've known you now for, it's been probably about 2 years, I'd say. Yeah.
Couple years, yeah.
So I know all the wonderful things that you've done and all that you've accomplished. But, for our guests here online today, who are you? What are you? What do you represent? Just tell us all about the wonderful Jonathan.
All right. Well, my name is Jonathan Lovegren. I have I've been in the military since 2011. I'm seasoned. And outside of that, I am one entity that runs the group Fighting Mental Health. Where our whole goal and our mission is just that, to fight mental health, right? Everybody struggles with it, no matter your age, gender, rank or whatever, everybody has a mental health problem. So our goal is literally to just get people help they need, and whether that's with us or whether that's us reaching out to other groups and communities that we know, like we will point you in the right direction to help, essentially, right? In layman's terms, like just quick and to the point. Coming in from when I came in, you didn't have mental health problems. You didn't have physical problems. You didn't go to sick call. You didn't do all these different things. And if you went to some leadership and you were like, oh, well, I got, I'm just not feeling myself. They're like, all right, cool. Well, we got the field. So suck it up and deal with it, bro. And that for the most part, that's what a lot of people go through, especially within the military community. So myself and the other members of the team, like when we came together with this idea, originally, like it was, hey, we should do like a mental health podcast. And then we sat down and we thought about it. We're like, no, we're going to get that one person on there that's just so disgruntled. And then we're going to not be able to air that episode and we're going to have to cancel the podcast. We're like, no, like we need to do something else. So we came together and decided to actually start like the nonprofit. And we've worked with other groups that are on the same mission as we are, Man 22, Through Tragedy Comes Light. The Jeep community in Fayetteville is huge, like when it comes to mental health type issues. There's just such a large, vast group out here that all has their own things going on, but the main cause all comes back to the one topic. So we've had the privilege and honor of meeting all these people and these amazing people and being able to be part of something that's so much bigger than we are. So that's we started this, and we've held different runs on post, off post, at the company levels up to garrison levels. We've assisted now for the last couple of years with a big suicide run that happens every September. You came and checked out the last one this last weekend, and it's huge. The whole message behind it is just shows that look, everybody struggles. It doesn't matter who you are. You have at least one problem. And our goal is to just, help these people realize that like they're not alone. Everybody has something that they're going through, and whether it's your neighbor or, a friend that you can talk to, while you're gaming online or whatever the case is, you have somebody that you can reach out to at all times. Some people might not always listen, but you can't hold in your issues, and that's something that I struggled with for the longest time. I went through something really tragic when I was younger, and that was about 20 years ago, and I'm
dang, you're old. I'm just kidding.
yeah, right. I don't even think you were a thought then. But I went through something very traumatic when I was younger, and I held it in. Like, I didn't talk to no school counselor. I didn't go seek therapy or do anything. I just moved on with my life, and I was like, well, this is my life. This is what I have to go through. This is just part of the travel and experience of growing up and getting older. And for the longest time, I didn't show any emotion. Like if I was upset, I kept it to myself. If I was, going through something, I didn't vent or talk to anybody. And I just recently, actually, within the last couple of months, I started going and doing therapy, which
it's huge.
Is a huge step.
Yeah.
But it was so weird at first because I'm like, I don't talk about my feelings. I don't do this. And ironically enough, last year, well, I was on Rear D and we had some people downrange. You know, in my office at work, I have my big fighting mental health flag behind me, and a soldier came to me and they're like, hey, you know, Sergeant, I got this problem going on, blah blah blah. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, let's talk about it and everything. And then like at the end of our conversation, they were like, well, I have a question. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And they're like, so you run this mental health group? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, and you preach about getting help you need. And that's the message that you give all of us. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, so why don't you do that yourself? And I was like,
you got me there.
Go ahead and get in the prone position. Time out. Ready, move. All right, in cadence, right?
For those of you who don't know what that means, that's go ahead and go into the push-up position.
Go ahead and get in the push-up position and just count. Keep pushing until I get tired.
Right.
But I was like, dang, like I don't think I personally deserve to be called out like that. Right. But hey, it is what it is. But at that moment, I was like, how can I try to preach about this message that everybody struggles at one point in their life, and here I am struggling, but I'm not getting the help that I need. Right. I can't, sit there and be like, you need to go seek help and go to behavioral health and go talk to therapy and go, all these sources that we have out there. But me, myself, I'm like, but I'm going to struggle alone. Yes. Right. Like one man, one fight. Right. And so I think at that moment I was like, oh, well, dang. Like, okay, well, let me see what resources are out there for me, and I went, had an appointment and sat down with our provider and everything. And he's the one that he got me on the Doctors on Demand, which is a phenomenal app, by the way. I have a wide variety of different therapists and psychiatrists and everything, and I don't have to just stick with one. If I have an appointment, I'm like, I'm not really feeling a connection. I can pick a different person, but like I said, I started doing therapy every week, every other week, and psychiatry every couple of weeks. And it's helped. Yeah. Which I didn't think it ever would. I was like, I'm not going to go talk about my thoughts and my feelings. I'm a man. And now I'm like, this is actually, I feel lighter. Right. I'm getting all these past emotions and feelings that I've held in for 20 years off my chest, and I never thought that I would do anything like that. But again, it comes back to the original, our original point of, doesn't matter your age, who you are, what your rank is. Like, everybody has something that they're struggling with. Then you're not alone with it. Yeah. So seek the help you need, get the help you need. And if you don't know where to go, ask the questions, right? If you go to, somebody in your leadership and you're like, I need this help. And they're like, well, that sucks. Then go to somebody else, right? Somebody down the line is going to know somebody or someone or something that will get you the help that you need one way or another. Right.
No, absolutely. I feel like you said, that most people in this generation just really, all around, but especially this generation, we're seeing more and more of it every day, where there seems to be some sort of thing that happens, some tragedy or just something that stems from mental health issues. And being someone who almost took their life at one point, it's very, very tough. And sometimes I still live with a lot of those thoughts, but therapy has helped me a lot, just like it has helped you. I cannot recommend that. Therapy is so helpful. Even if it's just something that you think is minute, you need to just talking with someone can be all the difference. Yeah. I know talking with family helps me out. Me as a Christian, talking with God helps things out. As well as going to therapy. Like, those things are just so critical, and I feel like a lot of people are too scared, or they don't want to seem quote unquote weak that they don't seek the help, and it's just so important to do that. So how long has the FMH, your Fighting Mental Health organization, been around for now?
So we first came up with the idea in 2023. Okay. It was not my idea, right? I had two soldiers come to me at the time. They were, they wanted to use me for my boss reach that I had, you know, because I had all the connections essentially from company level up to garrison level at the time when you were the boss president for garrison.
Good times.
Good times. And you know, I was like, yeah, sure, like I can see what we can do. And so like they broke down the whole idea and everything, and I was like, well, that's a great idea. Like I'm for it. And then, like I said, we had they had originally set up the podcast and everything like that, and then literally like a couple days later, they're like, so maybe the podcast isn't the best idea. And we came together and we planned just a morale run. You know, we did 2.2 miles around I think it's Hendricks Stadium, whatever, the one that's right there on the end of Long Street.
Yep.
And we had, you know, it started off as a company level thing, but a couple other companies within our brigade showed up, and it was kind of cool. And, you know, we just did 2.2 miles, and everybody wore green to represent like mental health. And then after that, our first sergeant at the time, who's now Sergeant Major, by the way, phenomenal.
Love that.
Without her, in reality, without her, FMH wouldn't even be a thing. Like she pulled us all into her office after the run, essentially was like, all right, so what is your guys' plans? Okay, we clearly saw that you guys were having T-shirts made. All right, do you have an LLC? Do you have a nonprofit? Do you have this licensing and this? And we were like, what? What do you mean? And she's like, all right, so check it out. You need X, Y, and Z. And she like broke it all down for us. And so after that, you know, we went ahead and we got everything that we needed. And our first event was so large that the brigade sergeant major at the time, literally like 2 days after the event, like all of a sudden we get a phone call from our leadership. They're like, yeah, you need to go to brigade time now. And sergeant major. And we were like, what? Oh no, what do we do?
What do we do?
And so like we go in and we're talking to her, and she's like, so I wasn't able to make the run, but I saw pictures and I heard great things. We're like, oh well, thank you. And she's like, cool, I want a color run. And we're like, okay, when? And she's like, next month. And it was literally like 2.5 weeks. Yeah. And we're like, right. Okay. Like, we're not going to tell Sergeant Major no. So we're like, all right, you got it.
Yeah.
Like, we're on it. And like, we planned everything and we did everything. And then but everything at that time was still coming out of our own pocket. So it was 3 of us. We had two specialists and a fresh sergeant, right? Like, we're not making bank over here.
Making pennies over there.
Right? But like, we had to buy everything. And we're like, oh no. And we were like, we can't afford all this color that you want to do, because they wanted it to be a brigade level event. And we're like, yeah, we can't. And literally like 2 days prior to the event, all of a sudden we're like, don't worry about it. Or we got a phone call like, hey, don't worry about it. The color's here. We're like, why didn't you tell us this, a week or so ago? We're over here getting ready to cancel the whole thing.
Stressing out.
You know? And so we had this big color run, which was a hit. I mean, I still have people coming to me today and they're like, when are you guys doing another color run? And I'm like, I don't know. Right. But that event, we actually had the garrison sergeant major at the time, Sergeant Major Seymour. Big shout out to him. You know, he was our guest speaker, and he came and he spoke his story and told a little about himself, because not everybody knows that level, right? They just see a sergeant major and they turn around and run the other way.
Right.
So he came out and he gave a little back brief on who he is and what he's gone through, which again comes back to my original statement of, doesn't matter how old you are, what your rank is, what you do, everybody struggles. Right. And so we had that run, and he ran through it and everything and got hit with all the color and the whole shebang, and it was a great event. And then, of course, later that day, we all get told by the sergeant major of brigade, she's like, yeah, you guys need to go to garrison. And we're like, man, like what do they want now? And we had lunch with Sergeant Major Seymour, and he actually got us in contact. He was like, yeah, you need to go reach out to this guy Rick Murillo. I served with him, and he's doing the same thing you are. Ranger Rick, big shout out to Ranger Rick. But he was like, you guys need to reach out to him, and he's doing what you guys are doing on a much larger scale, and I think he can guide you guys, getting into the groove that you guys should be in. And we were like, okay. So like after that, we sent Rick a message on Facebook, and it was funny because like he doesn't know who we are, right? We're little fish in a big pond. And so we're like, hey, I was told to reach out to you, blah, blah, blah. this is who we are. This is what we're trying to do. And his initial response back was like, who the F are you? Like, do I effing know you? And we're just like, we were sent by Sergeant Major Seymour. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. So I have a planning meeting.
Yeah.
And it was like an instant switch.
Right.
So he's like, oh, yeah, cool. Actually, I'm getting ready to, we have a planning meeting for this suicide run that we're getting ready to go do. And why don't you guys show up?
Right.
And we were just like, oh, okay. So, like, we all got off work that day, and we're still in OCPs and everything, and we headed to Max, and literally just right in. There was no introduction, there was no oh hi, how you doing? It was simply just hey, these guys are starting their own thing, and they're going to start helping us, and it was just from that ball rolling.
Yeah.
So since 2023, it's just been consistent.
That's awesome.
Different events, different things going on. Our brigade about a year or so ago, they were down in Guantanamo, and they did a FMH run out there.
I remember that,
which was awesome. Seeing the pictures and everything, they ran with our flag, and it was cool.
Awesome.
We've done multiple company level events. Actually, we were about a year or so ago. They wanted the office, our company's like repainted and everything, and so we were doing it, and then we were like, hey, can we put our logo up somewhere? And we got this big company classroom, just plain white walls. And first sergeant at the time, she's like, yeah, go ahead and just paint it there. And we were like, okay. But she didn't tell us, like, how big it was or anything. And we were like, all right. So, like, we literally, like, this whole wall right here, I kid you not, is right? It's our logo right there. So you walk up you walk up the stairwell, and the first thing you see getting to the top of the stairs is literally just our black and bright green fighting mental health, and it's like, oh god, so it's where we're permanently stamped on our company. We're like, love that.
Awesome.
And it's a great thing. You have this small idea, and again, the message is so much bigger than you and me, or me by myself, or whatever the case is, that you don't think, you're like, oh well, I have this idea, but it's probably not going to go anywhere. And all of a sudden, like, you wake up the next morning, and it's just going. It's a snowball effect. You started off with this small little thing, and now it's rolling downhill, and it's become something so much bigger than anything that you could imagine. That it's just, I don't know. It's a good feeling, to be able to provide another outlet for soldiers, for just regular people, or whatever the case is.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you've done a terrific job, and I feel like, speaking on my own experience, even just with what's happened this week with launching this podcast and everything, the overwhelming love and support and good constructive criticism and comments have just been great. And that's what it's really all about, just in your organization as well, is just kind of being able to bridge the gap and being able to have conversations, tough conversations, or getting people, in your case, to have those tough conversations to better help them. And going to a couple of your events now, I believe, and for sure one, actually this wonderful flag right here that's displayed. I actually won that. So funny quick story on that. I went there, and they were doing a little raffle for it, several different prizes, and this was one of them. So I put in 13 tickets for it. And this other guy, what did he put in, like 75, 80 tickets or something?
He bought like 60, 70 tickets.
Yeah. And he put them in for the flag, and I ended up winning it. So I felt like it was just meant to be, and now it's a beautiful display here. And then he also got me my little flag over here that has the Martin Memo logo on there too. He put me in touch with that person, and I got it within 3 or 4 days. So a big shout out to them as well. But yeah, it's just, it's amazing too, just like in this little realm, because you think that you're just doing something so minute and so small, and then the overwhelming support and just seeing it expand and grow, it's really just, there's no feeling like it. So,
exactly.
And just, it's truly terrific. And with that being said, I kind of want to bridge into the next little segment here, and about like the mental health epidemic. And I really call it a mental health epidemic because that's really what it is, especially here in America. So I did some research these last few nights and things like that. So just, obviously these numbers are of diagnosed. They're not actually what's going on out there, because I think your point is probably correct. It's probably more like 100% of people at least have some sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
But of diagnosed, 23% of the U.S. has mental health problems. Suicide is now the 10th leading cause of death in the United States, which is 40,000 annually. It's second for 10 to 14-year-olds. It's the second leading cause of death for 10 to 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then 33.5% of adults have substance abuse that coincides with the mental health issues. So you just look at these numbers, and it's so staggering, and it's so scary in reality, especially that suicide number. And I know that there's a lot of people that within our lives who have probably tried or have succeeded with the final, so what if in this situation, where do you feel like the disconnect is? Why do you feel like there's a rising level of these mental health problems happening? Where in your vision does this all kind of
stem from?
Yeah.
So like we'll take the 10 to 14-year-olds real quick, right? Like, they're still so young, right? You're either not a teenager yet, or you just became a teenager essentially. And a lot of people will look at that and be like, man, what do you have going on? Like, what is so hard in your life, right? You live at home. You don't got to pay bills, right? You don't have to have a job. You go to school, you come home, you do homework, you do some chores, and then you game for the rest of the day, right? Essentially. Like, that's a lot of the viewpoints that a lot of people have, but they don't know what's going on outside of that, right? Yeah. So you have this 10 to 14-year-old that goes to school every day, and they aren't popular. They're, maybe they're a little on the bigger side, or maybe they're just really, really skinny, or acne all over their face, or whatever the case is, right? They have some sort of flaw, essentially, and they're getting bullied about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't see that, even as like the parent. Like, I don't go to school with my kids every single day. Right. I mean, trust me, if I could, I wouldn't want to begin with. Yeah. I tried like looking over my daughter's math homework the other day, and I was like,
what are they teaching you all now?
Like, this is a basic 2 plus 2. Why do I gotta do all this extra stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, you have different things like that. We don't get to see our kids' day-to-day life. Yeah. We either take them to school, or we see them to the bus, and then we see them when they get home. And that's, there's a good chunk of time that we don't see. And then a lot of times too, these kids go to school and they get bullied, and then they're like, if you tell anybody about this, then tomorrow's going to be worse. So they don't say anything, right? And they're afraid, and they're scared and everything. And now they get home, and they feel as though their only getaway is to dive into electronics or, whatever the case is. And so now you're at home, you do your homework, you do your chores, and then you jump into a video game, and you jump into your tablet or computer or whatever the case is. And you're not talking about these things to your siblings or your parents or whatever, because you got told if you tell anybody, then, you're going to get it twice as hard tomorrow. Right. And it stacks up, and it stacks up, and it stacks up to the point where eventually they're like, well, my life will be better if I'm just gone. Yeah. And then next thing you know, that happens. And they're still so young that they don't realize that, okay, well, if I do this to myself, it's not just me. Mm-hmm. Now, you have a mom and a dad. You have grandma, grandpa. You have siblings. You have whatever the case is. That one action is now affecting everybody.
There's a quote that I read on that same topic where it's like, suicide doesn't remove the pain; it just passes it to someone else.
Passes it to somebody else, and it is one of the most selfish things you can do. Yeah, and that sounds harsh, right? Like, oh, that's selfish. Right. You're a selfish little person for doing this. But like, they have a problem. Yeah. They're going through something, and for whatever reason, they are afraid to talk about it, especially as a kid, right? And that's what they are. I'm a young adult. No, you're a child, dude, right? You are a kid. And that's why I say, like, it doesn't matter what your age is. Just talk to somebody. Oh. It doesn't matter who it is, what the case is. There is somebody there that you can talk to, right? So, you for that age gap, that's the majority of the issue is they're just afraid, and they're still young, and they don't know how to fix this problem. To the point where eventually they wake up one day and they just can't take it. Yeah. And it's a very unfortunate outcome. As far as like the adult epidemic goes, right? All the substance abuse and stuff, it leads back to when they were young. Like I said, I came up in a time in the military where, like, oh, if we had a problem, we just dealt with it. You moved on. It's the same sort of thing. A lot of these adults who are older than me, right? A lot of these people have these substance abuse issues and all these problems. Grew up in a time where, well, if you're a man, first of all, you don't show emotion, you don't cry, you don't do any of this. It doesn't matter. You move on because you have to support. As you get older, you have to be, you're the support. So a lot of these adults came up in that time. Yeah. So now that they're older and everything, and maybe in their late teens, early 20s, whatever, they started drinking, and it just increased from there.
Yeah.
And now they're at the point where they're like, that thought process has been drilled into their head and it's stuck in their mindset. They're like, okay, well, my only outlet is to drink or is to smoke or is to do whatever it is that they're doing. And it's kind of the same thing as these kids, right? They don't know how to express these issues other than what they've already grown up doing.
Right.
And I feel like in our day and age, right, we have all these benefits and all these outlets that people didn't have back then. You look at World War I, World War II type old time vets,
old school.
They didn't have no behavioral health. They didn't have, they had therapists and whatnot, but they weren't really a thing, right? It's like, oh, you got a problem. Here's some morphine. Like, that'd be it, know?
Yeah.
They didn't have the same resources that we have today. Right. And so I feel like it's a lot easier for us and, for our kids and for things like that to, if you need help, there is something, right, or someone that can get you on the right path to get the help you need. So, like, again, you have all these older people that didn't have the same resources. And now they feel like, well, yeah, there's this resource, but I'm too far gone. Like, they won't be able to help me. And next thing you know, they're, making that choice. And then you have the kids who just are afraid to talk about what actually is going on and what they're going through. So even though these kids in today have these resources, they're young and adolescents. And so, they get told one thing and they believe it. So they don't go talk to anybody. They don't do anything. And it comes down to like you and me, right? We are in that middle of the old school and the new school, right? We have.
You're more on the back end of that. You're playing your back nine on the golf course.
Listen here, okay? You young whippersnapper, you. But no, like we are still in the middle between that old school and that new generation that eventually one day is going to be where we are, right? So we have. I'm not going to say we know everything, but we have more knowledge of the resources and the therapy groups and the different things that we have access to. So it's our job to help this younger generation essentially. Like, hey, look, if you're struggling, X, Y, and Z, right? If you need help, X, Y, and Z, and whether it's, I'm not a very religious person, right? But if your outlet is God, then hey, check it out. Like, we got 4 churches up and down the road, and you drive out Yadkin and you have like 6 churches right there. There's so many different religious communities that you can get involved in, or there's groups, or whatever the case is. We have these outlets and these resources, and it's our job to help bring those to light for the younger generation. 100%. That way, those statistics and those numbers go down. Yeah. Unfortunately, for a lot of the older generation, they don't want to hear us.
No.
It's like, well, hey, Grandpa, like, I actually, and he's like, problems, what? I don't have no problems. And you're like, okay, Grandpa. Like, they don't want to hear us, right? They know all. And it's very unfortunate that even if we try to help them and we're like, well, nowadays we have this, and they don't want to hear it.
No.
And then that kind of goes into like the military community as well. You have this younger generation that is just afraid to speak up because they're like, okay, well, maybe if I speak up now, my rank isn't gonna, happen, or maybe I'm gonna get flagged and now I won't get promoted, or whatever the case is. And then you have the older generation of military where they came up in the same time frame I did, or before I did, where it's like, hey, so I got this issue, and they're like, yeah, well, that sucks. Yeah, move on, grow up. We got the field next week. Yeah, like okay, and so it's our job as that middleman to help be like, look, you have these resources, and just because you didn't have the help you needed back then doesn't mean that you can't go get it now.
Right.
Like, we are the gap
Right.
in between the young and the old.
Yep.
And, you talk about the numbers and everything, and everybody associates the 22 a day. Like, it's 22 veteran suicides every day. That number's gone up. I believe it's now like 23, 24. It's gone up.
That's unacceptable.
It's horrible.
It is.
Right? Like, and these aren't just, service members. These are veterans. These are people who have served and done their time and gone to war,
Right.
and, whatever the case is. But now they've gotten out and they feel like there's nothing for them.
Right.
Like, they're lost.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do because majority of them came up in that time of you don't go get help.
Right.
And they've seen some things,
Yeah.
and so they don't know what to do, unfortunately. And they feel as though they're just a burden, and that's not what they are.
Right.
There's, again, so many resources out there that can help you with everything.
Yeah.
You just have to be, I guess, strong enough to, reach out
Right.
or make that connection, essentially.
Absolutely.
Be like, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the hardest questions or statements to say, like, can I get help? I need help.
Yeah.
I have a problem, because people don't want to be seen, like you said, as weak.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate that a lot of people feel like this, and just now being in the military, we can kind of both speak on this. A lot of what we see is these new soldiers. They come on, they get their little taste of freedom maybe, and they join the military, they get into their barracks, and then a lot of them just kind of drink themselves out of the pain that they may feel, whether it's at work or whether it's like family, being separated from family, dealing with that, poor leadership that's often affiliated with the military, and they just drink themselves. I've seen several people that I came into the military with. We came in about the same time, and I watched them start drinking just on the weekends, and then they say, they kind of like that feeling. They get addicted to that feeling, and then suddenly it starts becoming, it starts bleeding into, maybe I can do it a couple days a week.
Yeah.
Okay, now throughout the week. Okay, now I can't function until I have like a drop of alcohol in my system, or nicotine with the vapes and everything like
God,
that.
The vapes, bro. The vapes.
For me, mine is caffeine. I can't live without my coffee or Celsius.
It's all good.
But yeah, on a serious note, you just see these people that are just these great young men and women who turn to the bottle or turn to different outlets because they just can't escape that internal pain that they feel. And I think that's really unfortunate. Another thing that I feel like is really fueling this mental health epidemic is social media. Unfortunately, there's a lot of terrible people on social media who just post these horrific things about people, whether it's, they're too skinny, they're too fat, they don't look right, something's wrong with them, they talk funny, all these different things these people get targeted for. Those things add up. I remember when I was younger, I didn't get it nearly as bad as a lot of these other folks. But I was a little chunkier at the time, and man, I never heard the end of it. I was always getting picked on for it. I'm a little vertically challenged as well, 5'6" over here. What? And people would pick on me, short kings, right? But yeah, it's just those little things, and words do hurt. There's an old saying that I remember reading through my elementary school: "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will hurt me." That's the way they put it.
Sticks and stones can break my bones, but
something around those lines.
Yeah, something around those lines.
I mean, it's very, very sad that like what we see on a daily basis and everything like that, and just these people that don't feel like they have an outlet. And I think that's great. What your organization is doing is just living proof that there are outlets out there, and there's so many different outlets and things like that, and just to never feel afraid to ask. I think that's some of the biggest advice that I can give this next generation that's coming in. I forgot. It's not Gen Z anymore. It's something.
God, I don't know.
Whatever fancy term they have.
Where are we
Gen
in the
COVID.
alphabet? Do we start back? Since it was Gen Z, do we go back to now the beginning? Is it Generation A squared?
It's actually thinking about it's Generation Alpha.
Alpha.
So that's what
God.
it is. But yeah, that's a different topic for another day.
That's another topic for another time.
Yeah,
it's next week's episode.
Next week's episode, right?
But no, like it is. Again, like there's all these outlets now that and all these different communities and everybody who's doing their own thing, but for the same cause. So, I mean, definitely, if you're struggling with anything, I don't even, I don't know what I should eat tomorrow. Hey, check it out. Reach out. You know what I mean? Like, no, the problem isn't too small or too big. There is somebody somewhere who can help you, get over this little hump that you got.
Right.
And that's what it is. It's a hump. You hit a speed bump.
Right.
You're not lost. You're not off the road. You just hit the speed bump and you caught some air and you need to, slow down next time so you don't, But I think, again, like I said earlier, that's one of the hardest things that, for me personally, one of the hardest things to do is ask for help.
Yeah.
And, you brought it up. You had that, that attempt even I've had that attempt, back in my Marine Corps days, right? I hit a very low point and I went to an expo and I bought what I thought to be a nice little piece, and I took it home and I took it apart and I cleaned it and put it back together, and I was ready. I was going, and I pulled the trigger, and it jammed, and I was like, "What in the world?" And of course, I go to YouTube and I'm like, typed in the brand and everything, and I was like, "Why did this jam?" And somebody was like, "Yeah, so these pieces of equipment, right? And if you don't get this piece precisely lined up, then you're going to have these jams." And I didn't know that. So, of course, I was like, and I took it apart again and I put it back together, and I felt like I couldn't even do that. Yeah. Oh, God, I'm a failure. And I put it in my safe. And now here I am, right? Like,
I think it all worked out. You have a beautiful wife and kids and everything, so you're living the dream. And
the dream.
Yeah. But no, I'm truly thankful.
Like everybody, it's again, everybody struggles. Yeah. It's just, how are you going to deal with that problem? Yeah. Are you going to do that one thing that's now going to cause a bigger problem for maybe not you because you're not here anymore, but it's going to cause a bigger problem for everybody else around you that cares about you? Or are you going to reach out and get the help you need? That way you are here for the long term. And it's they feel as though like, well, one's easier than the other, right. Which it is. It is a lot easier to just do that.
Done.
But after you're gone, think about everybody else around you. Right. It's not easier for them.
Yeah. It's very true. Earlier you mentioned like the veterans, 23, 24 suicides.
Like 23, 24.
Which is just absolutely, those are terrible numbers. And
horrible numbers.
That's like the last thing I want to hear, especially the nation's finest who served our country.
Right.
And everything like that. So I want to get into politics. Obviously, that's one of the reasons that I'm doing this podcast, is to spread awareness, kind of get my ideas out there, things like that. If you were the president for a day, or if you could give me advice as potentially, maybe the next president or at least a congressman, what advice would you give to me, and what would you do differently that's currently happening as far as like better mental health outreach and things like that? I know that's definitely a loaded question, and I'll give you a second to think about that one.
No, I'm not gonna lie, right? I don't vote.
Yeah.
And I'm probably that 1% with your vote, all this could have changed,
right,
but
right.
I don't vote, right? And I feel as though, and my reasoning behind that essentially is, when these people are running for, their candidacy, whether it's presidents, governors, mayors, whatever the case is, they're going to say what you want to hear on both sides, right? So, when it comes time for election time, it doesn't matter what channel you go to. Like, you cannot skip, and it's like, oh God, I just want to watch the game. Like, right. Shut up.
All the ads,
right? This sponsorship was paid to you,
right? Right.
Oh my God, right? But you're gonna hear things on both sides. Be like, that's a good idea. Oh my God, that's a good idea.
Right.
Well, if you guys have these good ideas, why can't we just come together? Is my thought process on it, right? And I get it. You have left and right, and you're always gonna have left and right. And one group's gonna think they're right, and the other group's gonna think they're right, and they're wrong, or whatever the case is. Personally, if I was president for a day, like, I would try to make it to where, hey, check it out, like, we all need to just come together as one, because we all have these beliefs and we all have these disbeliefs, which for the most part, if you go in and you look into it and you break it all down, they're the same beliefs and same disbeliefs. We're just wording it different, or we want to do and go different routes. Like, our end goal is here, but you're going to go drive down this road, and I'm going to drive down this road. But at the end of the day, we both reach our destination. So personally, if I was president for a day and I would do as much as I possibly could to just bring everybody together.
Yeah.
Because I feel as though we all have the same end goal.
Yeah.
So why are we continuing this fight?
This mudslinging
between one side and the other.
Right.
Right. Like, it's pointless. And all it's going to do is cause bigger fights and cause more things negatively to happen. Right. And eventually it's like we have bigger things as a country to worry about with other countries, but yet we're fighting with ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm fighting with my neighbor, right? Because of the flag that they have hanging in their front yard. Right. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, I should be able to go over and knock on your door and be like, hey, man, can I borrow some sugar?
Right.
Like, yeah, you know what? My wife just baked a cake. I got an extra. You want, like, you know what I mean? Like, we need to be on that same level.
Yeah.
But now, because of the flag that you have hanging up, like, oh, man, his sugar's probably, like, not name brand. Like, oh, God, you're trying to find a reason to, like, fight over everything. And, well, what's the point?
Right.
Personally, right? And that's my personal opinion.
That is Jonathan Lovegren.
That is Jonathan Lovegren's personal opinion, right? And I understand that not everybody has the same idea and viewpoint as me, but I'm not going to go fight somebody on it.
Right.
It's NFL, for example. I'm a Ravens fan, and I'm gonna talk, all right? But I'm not going to go swing fists with somebody who's a Steelers fan,
right? Yeah,
just because they're a Steelers fan, and that's that's our rival. Like, I don't care. You are entitled to like whatever football team you like. Now, whether it's wrong or not, that's you know what I mean. But
right.
But that's the thing. Like, I'm not gonna go out of my way to start a fight.
Yeah.
Especially if we have the same beliefs and the same end goal. You just want to go a different direction than I do.
Right.
So, president for a day, like, do everything I can to stop this hate between both sides and try to just bring us together. Like, check it out, right? You may not believe in my ideologies or whatever, but I'm in the seat. I like what you're saying, so let me hear you out on your end, and let me hear you guys out on your end. Okay, you guys both have the same idea and end goal, so let's find a center road. Instead of you driving one way, me driving the other, or you guys driving the other, let's all drive down the same lane.
Right.
Personally.
No, I think that's fair. I think that right now, especially, I feel like we're more divided more than ever, and it almost feels like we're headed into a second civil war, which I know that's
for sure.
a big thing to say, but in reality, you really look at it, and it is scary out there, and we are just, like I said, more divided than ever, like you said, more divided than ever. So I feel like we truly need someone to come in and just say, hey, we really need to unite the country, and there needs to be a break from all this mudslinging. It goes back and forth. I'm a conservative. I let that be known. But I think on both sides that there is just there's a lot of hypocrisy going on too. I would definitely throw that a word around. The one side does something, and then, oh my gosh, look at what you did, and then it's actually the same on the other side.
No,
too.
exactly. Like, it's like, oh, we would never do that. And it's like, well, actually, if you look back 3 days ago, and they're like, well, that never happened. And hold on a minute.
We have the receipts.
We have the receipts. Yeah. And again, like, you are entitled to your thoughts and your process. But if somebody on the other side came to you and was like, hey, let's have a one-on-one conversation, you're going to sit there and you're going to hear them out.
Right.
But you're going to expect the same on their end.
Yes.
Right? Like,
exactly.
So when I talk to my soldiers, right, for prime example, I'm like, all right, we're adults. We both raised our right hand. We swore the oath to do this. You were adult enough to put your name on that paper. I was adult enough to put, my name on that paper. I'm not talking to you NCO to soldier. I'm talking to you adult to adult. So you're going to hear me out, and then I will hear you out. I will not interrupt. I will let you speak your piece. And, like, we will have a conversation back and forth, because at the end of the day, I think that's what it comes down to. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I have rank on my chest. If I tell you to go sweep, then guess what? You're going to sweep.
You're going to sweep.
But if you have an objection to it and you come to me as an adult, I will hear you out.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of people's issues, is they want to sit there and be like, oh, well, we need to have a nice, calm conversation. Right. But then you have that nice, calm conversation, and people just want to argue.
Right.
Like, life isn't an argument. If we all want to get on the same page, then we have to be able to have these one-on-one conversations and get on that same level of understanding that, again, our end goal is the same on both ends. Right. you just want to go one path and I want to go with another, but our end destination is the same thing. So why can't we just get in the same?
End destination of every congresswoman, every person serving in Congress should be to help the American people.
No, exactly.
That's all it comes down. That should be the new motto. It's just helping the American people. How can we help the American people? And I feel like we're kind of at a standstill right now, but I feel like there's a lot of things that could be on the way as far as getting done. And we can't discredit Congress 100% because there are a lot of times where there is unanimous of votes or close enough to it where they actually are really helping the American people. But there's too often we find a lot of different bickerings and different things like that. So, but stay tuned to next Tuesday when I'm going to have a one-on-one with one of my friends who happens to identify as a liberal. So we're going to definitely have a good conversation there, but it's going to be peaceful. It's going to just be like this, natural. We're going to have disagreements, but that is what it is all about. And that's another reason for this podcast is bringing up differences and also similarities as well. But and how we can bridge the gap and how we can move forward together and as a country. So with that, on that note, I just want to finish up this segment before we go into more of the fun stuff as we wrap it up here. Where can people find you and your organization? Like, where can I look you up online? Do you have social media? Where can I find you?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram. We have a TikTok. We have a Discord, but I'm old and don't really know how to do Discord, so I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna reach out and get some help.
I got you.
Yeah, cool. But we are on all social media sites. You just search Fighting Mental Health and you'll see you can't really see it, but it's the logo that's there at the bottom.
It's on your hat too.
Oh, and it's on my hat too. Yep, you're right. But yeah, we are on all social medias: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Discord. We don't have a Snapchat, but whatever.
So while we do that, you're a Ravens fan. Is that who you're going? Is that who you're rolling the Super Bowl with? Is that who's going to the Super Bowl and going to win this year? Or
God, I hope so. But my Ravens usually make it to the playoffs, and then they think they've already made it.
Yeah,
and then they choke, just like my Blazers. My Portland Trail Blazers, because
gosh.
I'm from Oregon.
That's right.
I'm from Oregon, so I'm a Blazers fan, and I'm a Portland Timbers fan when it comes to soccer. We don't have a baseball team, so I cheer for Red Sox. So we don't have a football team, and I didn't want to be like everybody else. And, I'm a Seattle fan.
Yeah.
No, so my first football game that I ever watched was Ravens, and I was like, oh, they're not bad. And so unfortunately, all my teams have the the habit of making it to the end, but then dropping the ball because they get.
I'm from Wisconsin, so I got the Packers, the Brewers, and the Bucks, who all typically like to make it to the championship round.
Then they go, and we're done.
Yeah,
right, and we're done. So
that's all, folks.
Yeah, right. That's it. I would love to see Lamar get a ring.
Right.
But if it happens, it happens. But I will forever be a Ravens fan. I will, cheer for them one day and yell at them the next, like they can hear me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then I'll still cheer for him again.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I hope the Ravens make it. I feel like, maybe it's our year.
Maybe
it's our year.
You can play the Packers in the Super Bowl. So, well, I do have a special treat for you. It's been previously talked about. So go ahead and underneath your seat, there's a special item for you. So go ahead and.
Special item. I feel like I'm on the Oprah Winfrey show.
Yeah, you get a jersey. You get a jersey. So.
Yes, sir.
There we go.
It's funny though too because one of my best friends. He got me. He was like, "Hey, if you were to get a Ravens jersey, who would you want?" So I told him, I was like, "Oh yeah, give me this jersey." And at the time, this is before I left for Texas, so I was a little bit bigger, and so I told him the size I wanted, and now it's like a dress. I can't even wear it. It's sitting in my closet. I went to go put it on the other day, and literally, it's so big on me, and I was like, well, this is gonna stay here.
Yeah, I love it.
No, this is legit, and it's a Lewis jersey.
Yeah, old school edition,
old
right
school.
there.
Yeah,
it's it's old school when the logo on the NFL says NFL equipment.
NFL equipment. Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
and of course, the flag that I've been owing you is in my motor pool office.
Yeah, as soon as you get it in, it'll might make its way here somewhere.
Either here or in your office at work, whichever.
Yes. All right, and now this is a topic that some of our viewers have requested, and I'll talk on this as well. But what is your favorite and least favorite MRE? For MRE folks, for people who don't know what MRE is, it's a meal ready to eat. It is a big army or more
military,
specifically military thing.
In general. Comes in this ugly brown packaging, and most of the dates you look at it are like 1942, and they say it's still good. And but yeah, you got like that old school, like the first ever M&M's package that was made, and you're like, I don't think these are edible anymore.
I think I had a 2000, like no joke, I had a 2005 M&M packet in my MRE. I wish I could make this up, and I ate it with a smile on my face too.
No, what's funny is when I was in the Marines, we were cleaning out a Connex, and we came across these boxes of MREs, and they'd already been opened and like rummaged through them. But like we were like, oh, well, let's see what's in here. We opened one up. I found an MRE from like 1964, and I'm just like, I wonder if it's still good. My thought wasn't, let's throw this away. My thought was, well, I mean, they're air sealed, so like everything should be all right.
It should be all right. Yeah.
If I die, I die.
Ends up in the hospital a couple days later.
Right. Has to get my stomach pumped, you know. No, my favorite go-to, and I will throw hands in the field. Like, I will throw hands, or I will pay you for this MRE. Chili and beans. I don't care what you say. Chili and mac. No. The chili and beans is the only one. No, the cornbread's gross.
You are sick in the head for that comment.
I feel like the chili and beans is the only one that actually tastes like it says. Yeah. How can you mess up chili? You know what I mean?
It's true.
Like, so I feel like if I heat it up and I do what I need to do, it tastes like chili. If you go grab these, fettuccine Alfredos, it's not going to taste like fettuccine Alfredo. Like, what in the world? Or the tuna because it's an actual store, but it's the actual tuna pack.
The Sunkissed, yeah.
So it's the Sunkissed tuna. So how can you mess that up? Yeah. So I know the tuna and the chili and beans. All right.
Well, let's
my least favorite. Yeah. My least favorite. Again, when I was in the Marines, they had just started rebranding their stuff essentially, and so they did these vegetarian cheese omelet. Oh. They wanted to introduce like breakfast MREs, right? So you could be in the field. So you could be in the field and have one category that was just different breakfasts. So you got the breakfast sausage patty and stuff that comes with like the dry cereal that all you got to do is add water and then it whatever. And which the breakfast sausage one isn't bad, but I was like, an omelet? Like, okay, no, I'll go hungry. If that's the only thing I have and I'm in the field for 2 weeks, I'm not eating for 2 weeks. I'm on a strict water diet. Yeah. I'm finding bugs and I'm going fishing. Like
some sticks on the ground.
I'm finding bugs and I'm going fishing. Like the vegetarian cheese omelet is by far the worst MRE that I have ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
Period. But the chili and beans, I will die on that hill. That is top tier. Number one MRE. I don't care.
Oh, man, I love it. All right, now, because I know you all want to know what my favorite MRE is.
Nobody cares.
I appreciate that. No, so, well, I'll go with least favorite first, So least favorite, honestly, this is a very, very hot take, and I'm definitely going to get some comments for this one. I do not think the fettuccine is that bad. That being said, it's definitely not my favorite. It's far from it. But the fettuccine is not that bad. It's not that bad. Me personally, I need to do better about eating fish, but I don't like fish, so the tuna is probably on my list. And the chicken chunks, that's just not right, man. Like, come on now. Definitely not right. But as far as my favorite, I gotta go with, because I'm, as much as you get the big meal, you also get the little side things and things like that, the snackies. And
some of them have the candy.
Yeah. So overall, I'd say my favorite would probably be, it's the hash brown one. I think the hash brown one is pretty fire. I'm not. Oh, don't give me that, please. I put up with your tuna and chili and beans, but yeah. So I would say that. Yeah, probably. I mean, I'd have to go with that one. So the hash brown is pretty fire. Yeah, I really do appreciate that one. So, maybe next time when you come on again, we'll have to crack out an MRE.
Out an MRE.
Do a little tutorial, Actually, it's under your seat right now.
Surprise! You thought only one gift? No, two.
Well, gift.
Surprise
that's a
on
stretch.
you. Surprise on you. It is a veggie omelet.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
No, it's actually, speaking of the MREs, it's funny. So, they used to have like little Tabasco bottles, and now now they have the Texas Pete packets.
Oh,
but it used to be, it's not, but it used to be the little travel size bottles, and they stopped doing that because fun fact, you could take the little Tabasco bottles and you could throw it in your little heater and then roll it up, and it would turn into like, a little nice CS gas.
Oh, yeah.
So
right up my alley.
We would do that and throw it in people's tents.
Oh, wow.
While in the field.
Wow.
We had to do something
We
to
do not
entertain
endorse
ourselves.
this.
We had to do something to entertain ourselves in the field.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But so they found out that like there was like a chemical reaction, and they were like, all right, well, we're removing the Tabasco bottles, and we're going to do these. But no, I think my only downfall with chili and beans is it doesn't have a candy in it. I think I get.
Oh my gosh!
I get
the cornbread makes up for it.
It doesn't. I get crackers or cornbread. I get a cheese. I get the chili, and I think it comes with a cobbler, if I remember correctly. Which the cobblers are not bad. I love the cobblers, and a lot of people are like, "Ew, what?" But no, the cherry cobblers or the blueberry cobblers and the MREs.
I mean, they're pretty good.
They're
sour.
They're pretty good.
The cherry one's sour, but yeah.
But
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing that we want to do for you today is we're starting a new thing where everyone that's a guest on the show, I got to still put the Martin Memo logo in here, but we're having them sign the frame. So you do the great honor. There's a little Sharpie. One. Yeah, you're the first one,
Heck
Yeah. Go ahead, put your John Hancock on there,
All right.
This is great.
Just right across the whole thing.
Yeah, right.
Just do the whole bottom row and be like, nobody else gets to sign it.
Right.
All right, let's see. Where am I going to...
So I'm actually selling this on eBay to the highest bidder.
Joke's on you. You're not famous, but you will be.
Yeah. Do you think they'll pay you for the signature? Or,
No, you have to pay them to take it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Please take my signature. Here's $1.
There we
go.
Lord.
Look at that. That's beautiful.
I got it.
Yeah.
Nice little.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
I'm honored to be the first. That was really loud. My bad. I'm honored to be the first signature on your little.
Yeah, no, we'll have to have
picture
you.
Frame.
We'll have to have you back on here sometime. It's been a pleasure. So, yeah. Well, folks, that's all we have in store for today. I will see you back here on Friday as I break down the bloated bureaucracy that is the U.S. government, go over climate change, and discuss the political news of the week. Share your thoughts on X, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Martin Memo, and let's grow this community together. Now, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Thank you again. The Martin Memo.